very good morning to you. Welcome to Motivation Monday, where we bring you challenging conversations and inspiring stories. Well, we would love to hear from where you're tuned in, from where you're listening or watching us from. So kindly do engage with us. 20316 is our SMS line. 0786 316 316 is our WhatsApp line. Now, I know perhaps this is something that you have heard time and time again. Perhaps the basic phrase, hard work pays. But does it? Maybe for some of us, when we look at the experience of our own lives, we're looking back and are saying, I wish I hadn't inserted myself as much. I wish I hadn't asserted myself as much. Because what they told me is not true. But today, we want to still have that conversation as we talk about the fruit of diligence. Is it worth it to be a diligent individual? Is it worth it for you and I to actually put in the work, to be diligent in everything that we find our hands to do? Does diligence pay? Is there fruit to diligence? That is the conversation that we'll be having today on Motivation Monday. And joining me for this conversation is a teacher. Yes, you got that right. He's a teacher in one of those schools. You know, people who go with that banner, I went to Alliance. Well, he's a teacher at the Alliance High School. He's the head of physics at the Alliance High School. And today he's just helping us appreciate this conversation on the fruit of diligence. Mr. Buya Wekunda is our guest today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, what an honor and a privilege to have us sitting with you. Unlike your students or former students, I cannot say I went to Alliance, but you know, it's a privilege to sit with an Alliance teacher. Just by way of introduction, kindly just do introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you so much, Pastor Mokaya, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. As has been mentioned, my name is Buya Wekunda. Yes, I'm a teacher at Alliance High School, at the Alliance High School. And it has been an honor for me to be at the Alliance High School for, this is now my 16th year. And it is a privilege for me to serve in this institution.
All right. In terms of family?
Yeah, sure. I'm a family man, married to Dr. Caroline Buya. Between us, we have 4 children, 3 girls and 1 boy. Our firstborn is now in second year in the university.
Wow.
Yeah, and we really thank God for that. My secondborn is at Alliance Girls High School in Form 3. And then my thirdborn is in Utafiti Primary in Junior Secondary, going to grade 9. And we have a last boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, down there going to be to grade 1.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, karibu sana, and thank you for making time to be with us.
Thank you so much.
Now, this whole idea and conversation around diligence, and today specifically we're talking about the fruit of diligence, can be brewed and various questions can come to it. But let's just begin from your own understanding. How would you sort of explain diligence to someone? What is diligence?
Well, thank you so much. From where I sit, diligence is just basically that commitment to have what needs to be done actually done, and the right way, the way it's supposed to be done. So do you have that commitment? Do you have that passion to do what needs to be done and the best knowledge? Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I like that. So it's the commitment for that which needs to be done to be actually done.
And done the right way.
And done
the right way.
So it is possible to do something that needs to be done, but yet fail to do it the right way. Yes. And you're saying that is not diligence?
That's not diligence, because you will not realize the fruit.
Okay.
So if you want to realize the fruits of your labor, what you are doing, then you must be able to, you stay committed to doing what is supposed to be done and do it the right way.
Okay. So then, is there a difference between diligence and hard work?
A thin line between the two, because diligence, as I've mentioned, is that staying committed. Yes. You are staying committed to what needs to be done. But now hard work, now how much input are you putting in what you are doing?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's possible then to have hard work and yet not have diligence, because perhaps you can have hard work and yet it is not the right way.
Yes.
So the input is there, the
Yes.
effort is there, but maybe the way that is done is not the proper way.
Not the proper way.
Yeah.
So you don't end up with the right results, the expected results.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So let's just get to, even as we proceed with this conversation, you've been a teacher, especially at Alliance, for 16 years.
Yes.
So some of the students that you have taught, definitely have advanced. What are some of the success stories, of students that you saw who came to Alliance and they put in the work, they were diligent, and you can actually tell, yeah, I see the fruit of that diligence. Are there some success stories?
Well, many stories I can be able to, make mention of, and there are many.
Yeah.
So I can't be able to actually, because like on daily, or every year, we are receiving new students, and so many of them have passed through my hands.
Yeah.
And some of them came in, and it's like, they cannot be able to cope with the expectations at Alliance High School. Some of them even deciding to quit. But we have been there to encourage them to fit in the system and help them to realize their dreams.
Yeah.
So there are many students, maybe those who will be watching this show, they can be able to call in and say, yes, while at Alliance High School, I interacted with Mr. Wekunda, and he worked with me. When I was down there, maybe in the area of physics, especially which I teach. Some of them come in with the notion that physics is so hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe they have heard stories from other students who left earlier, or maybe their siblings, or maybe their cousins. And they are saying physics is so hard, it's beyond, it's not manageable. And it is true, because many students, now that physics is elective, they drop the subject when they get to Form 2, some of them even at Form 1.
Yeah.
But when you come to Alliance High School, realize that everybody has to take physics up to Form 4. And so there are those ones who feel like they are not wired to take physics to the end. And so we keep on encouraging and working with them, creating extra time just to make sure that we put in, extra work, and just working with them to make sure we bring to fore the content as expected to, and they end up with the phenomenal results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but maybe just a few in terms of, and I'm sure sometimes you get the privilege of hearing stories of students who left the school, perhaps went to the university and are now working. Just give us, if, top of your mind, any example comes, of a student who came in and you saw the effort that they put in, the commitment that they put it. And now, as you look at their life right now, you're like, yeah, this is the fruit of the diligence that they put in.
Wow. Thank you so much. I can quickly pick Religson Kisula Nzilu, a young man who came to Alliance High School, actually barefoot, coming from Kitui, far deep in Kitui.
Yeah.
And this young man was being supported by the grandmother. And when he came to Alliance, actually, he was carrying a paper bag.
Wow.
Yes, he was carrying a paper bag, just a few stuff. And when he landed at Alliance High School, we have what we call the Social Welfare Society. So he was quickly supported from that program, and he fitted the system. The guy could not actually express himself because of the background that he was coming from. He could barely express himself. And this young man came, and we encouraged him. Of course, whenever he would speak, people would laugh at him because he was not able to communicate effectively. But he didn't give up,
Yeah.
We kept on encouraging him. We worked with him. He was hardworking. And though he could not be able to communicate effectively, but his work was good as a result of the hard work that he was putting in. This young man proceeded to the African Leadership Academy in South Africa.
Wow.
He actually was taken when he was on Form 3, and he left to South Africa. He joined that institution, and then he had to fly back to Kenya to do his KCSE, and he ended up with a straight A.
Wow.
I think that. And then he proceeded to the US in one of the Ivy League universities.
Wow.
And now he's working as an engineer, doing great things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to meet with him during COVID season. He had come back to Kenya.
Yeah.
And the young man is doing so well, you can't actually...
you can't tell
that he was the same person who had at Alliance, almost so desperate.
Yeah. That's I like that story. That's an interesting story, because here was a person whose the odds were against him.
Yes.
You know, you're coming from a poverty-stricken background.
Yes.
You are a teenager, and so you're easily impressionable, and yet you can't communicate.
Yes.
And so, you know, just the stigma of being a teenager and you can't communicate well. And yet he put in the work.
Yes.
And now he's reaping the fruit of that.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Interesting.
I like that.
Yes. There are several examples I can give.
Yes.
But just to pick maybe one to start with, yes.
Yeah. But on the flip side of this conversation, are there sad stories of students that you saw that were perhaps careless about their work, that did not put in the diligence, and, you know, that did not end up well for them, perhaps, you know, in high school, and, you know, that has effect. And you may not mention names,
yes.
You know, but just as an example of a student that, you know, you saw, and because they failed to put in the work, now perhaps even how their life eventually turned out is not very pleasant.
Sure. There are also stories of that nature. We have had students who came in with very good marks, high scores from their primary.
Yeah.
And you will expect that they will continue with the same momentum to be able to realize the results as the ones they got at their primary level. But they come in and it's like to them, maybe, so to say, they have reached their they are in alliance.
Yeah, so they have arrived.
They have arrived.
Yeah.
And so by the time they are realizing that they need to work hard, time is against them. And so piecing together everything for them to be able to make a meaningful exit becomes a challenge. We have so many examples again of students who have come in with very high marks, and we expect the same output, but just along the way, things don't work out. And sometimes, Pastor, if I may call this also to order, sometimes some of them even get influences from their families. So when they come to school, family influences come in. We have maybe, changes in their bodies, maybe adolescence comes, and it becomes so heavy for them, and then adjusting becomes so hard, and they don't really measure to the expected standard.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow,
that's sad. And so a student who is very promising, great potential, unfortunately, at the time of exit, it's, they are a shadow of themselves, and now that translates later into life. Now, this conversation is important, especially because now, students are on holiday. Some of them are listening and watching. Some parents are tuned in. But this is not just a conversation for students.
Sure.
This is a conversation generally about life. And so in your experience interacting with students where, especially that is something, that is required, like on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, if a term passes and you've not put in the work, the results are immediate.
Sure.
Sometimes for those of us that are adults, it may not be that obvious. Now, speaking to this whole idea of diligence, but now just not from a student perspective, but generally for us adults, fruit of diligence, is there really fruit?
Yes, definitely. They are visible, they are evident. We have success stories of people who are putting their best. And they are saying, yes, because of what I did, so I am. And Pastor, if I can just talk about myself, I myself came from a very humble background. My father only went up to class 2.
Wow.
My mother never went to school. And so growing up in the village, surrounded by people who have not gone to school. I look at that kind of scenario. You are coming from a background where people have not gone to school, and it's like they don't realize the value of maybe education. And there is no role modeling, so to say. There is no mentorship, so to say. But as you advance, you realize, hey, if I just continue the way things are going here, I may end up worse off than what these guys are experiencing in life. And so I decided to go out of my way and just put in my best in school. Many times I tell my students, when I was in primary, I really worked hard. I was admitted at French School Kamsinga. When I went there, I remember paying school fees was very difficult. And I was asking myself, will I also end up the same, struggling to pay fees for my children, the way my father has struggling to pay fees for me? And that realization made me to work extra hard. I usually tell my students, I used to read, study when I'm on my knees.
Wow.
Telling God, you have to work things out for me. You have to help me to pass my exams and change this kind of scenario. Yes, scenario, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they are success stories, yes. And it paid dividends. I actually, if I check, I think I was the second person to go to university in my sub-location, so to say.
Entire sub-location.
I was the second person to go to university.
Not just, we're not talking about your family.
No. And so you can be able to see where I'm coming from. So if there's somebody out there who say that diligence doesn't pay, then I think they are missing the point.
Yeah.
You put in your best and you trust God, and God will work things out for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe could it be that sometimes when people are thinking about this whole idea of diligence doesn't pay, could it be that sometimes we are comparing ourselves unfavorably? And so especially because of the kind of the world we're living right now where people's lives are exposed. So we see people living flashy lives. And because I have not gotten there, I am perhaps not a millionaire, I do not have that bright shining car, I do not live in that posh neighborhood. So I am assuming that, I've not reaped the fruit of diligence. But perhaps if I am to look back at where I've come from, I can actually see that there is fruit. Could that perhaps be the reason why we say diligence doesn't pay, because we are unfairly comparing ourselves?
You are right in saying so, because many times, people nowadays talk about working smart. Not working hard, but working smart.
Yeah.
And so somebody will come up and maybe they know somebody somewhere. They go apply for a tender. They are given a tender worth millions, or billions.
Yeah.
And when you follow through, you don't see the aspect of what diligence to accrue that amount of money or that kind of wealth. And so that's why now many people look at it and say, I think hard work does not pay.
Yeah.
But I can assure you, even scripturally, God, the Bible says that, in Hebrews 11:6, that the diligent, when you are diligent, God will reward you.
Yeah.
So it is in the business of God to reward those people who are working diligently.
Yeah.
So yes, diligence pays, and people should not now start looking at maybe some case studies of people who you cannot trace the element of diligence, but yet they have so much money.
Yeah.
But stay committed to the call of duty. That's what Ecclesiastes says, that whatever you find yourself to do, do it diligently, do it with because the whole idea of our living is to work.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
So somebody might not have worked to be where they are. Maybe they worked smart, so to say, smart in quotes.
Yeah.
But I can assure you that diligence pays. There are fruits of diligence. People can stand up and say, I woke up very early in the morning, I did ABCD. You can be able to trace that through their labor, they are actually rewarded. Yes.
All right. I like that. And I think for me, it's the definition you gave for diligence that's sort of bringing me back to line, in the sense of committing to what needs to be done and actually doing in the right way. So I think that whole idea of in the right way is important. Now, I want you to respond to something else, but I want you to respond after we listen to this song. And what I want you to respond to is the whole idea of, are people born with diligence, or are people shaped by their environment, so that somebody can say, me, that is not something I'm gifted in, or is it something that people can actually work within themselves to produce? But I want us to listen to this song. Welcome back. This is Motivation Monday, where we bring you challenging conversations and inspiring stories. And today we're having one of those conversations, and it's not just a challenging conversation, but also the person bringing us this conversation also has an inspiring story. We're talking about the fruit of diligence. That is what we're talking about today. And today we just want to debunk that myth that hard work does not pay. because diligence does pay. And that is what we are talking about today. So kindly do join us for this conversation as we continue. Feel free to send in your comments, even as we continue. 20316 is our SMS line, 0786 316 316 is our WhatsApp line. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Now, this whole idea of diligence, just as I alluded, is it something that somebody is born with? Is it something that is shaped by the environment we grow in? Or is it something that we cultivate as individuals?
Thank you, Pastor. When you talk about you are diligent in what? So there must be some background.
Yeah.
You are committing yourself, for example, coming to this show. Are you diligent enough to be able to see this show, being a blessing to people? So there must be some motivation behind your diligence. And so for somebody to come and say that I'm diligent, there must be some motivation factor behind it.
Okay.
So like there are students whom I've interacted with, if I may, because I'm a teacher, of course, most of my students, my examples will be on students.
Yeah.
They have come in school at Alliance High School because they believe education is a game changer in terms of maybe the social economic status.
Yeah.
So they come in and they commit themselves to working hard. They commit themselves to spending more time in their books so that it can be able to open up a door for maybe a better life, so to say. So the question of is it inborn or is it environmental? From where I see it, it is environmental kind of where you are living. People will want to work hard to change their circumstances.
Yeah. And
God has deposited in us that inborn ability or desire to actually be better, be better in life. And so for somebody to commit themselves to diligence, there must be some push. There's something that is pushing them to really move in that direction. So it is more of circumstantial, so to say.
Yeah.
Because somebody who is maybe born in an affluent, family, so to say.
Yeah.
Everything is there for you at your disposal. You ask yourself, I'm going to school for maybe for marriage just to be able to fit in, so to say, to fit in academically, so to say.
Yeah.
Maybe manage your family estate and the like. But there's somebody who is coming from a very humble background who needs to put in more effort to be able to, make it in life. So that's where I can be able to, how I can be able to come in.
Yeah.
That it is based on circumstances. You want to put in your best so that you can be able to better your circumstances.
Yeah. Now that's interesting that you've brought that out. That there are those who would have to put in more effort. And so you may have two people, perhaps undertaking the same task. But one needs to put more effort compared to another just because of the environmental factors that they find themselves in. Now, in your own experience, again, because you're a teacher, you teach at a school where actually it's all the students that you receive are bright students academically. And so they've come with top marks. But by the time, at the time of exit, yes, a good number of your students perform very well, but you still have a few that, don't sort of match up to the rest. Would you say it is the amount of work they put in that became the defining marker, or are there other factors as well? So that, we don't see somebody's life turn out a certain way and we want to assume this person was not diligent. Are there other factors that are at play as well that may perhaps cause for an individual not to realize, so to speak, the fruit of diligence?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Yeah, many factors actually come into play. And as I've already mentioned, somebody may want to be committed to excellence. But then maybe the kind of family they are coming from, especially maybe families where there's a lot of conflict.
Yes.
Families where there's a lot of many, things coming into play. It may affect this young man's decide to work extra hard and be able to perform.
Yeah.
So there are factors that will come into play. And there are some who are good. If they are committed, they will make it.
Yeah.
But then maybe they look, at the back and say, but where I'm coming, why am I working so hard? Why am I waking up so early? Yet I have everything that I need.
Yeah.
And there are those ones who come in, as you are saying, they look around and say, but there are so many students who have passed the exams. They went to university, they did their courses, and their life is not a testimony of what hard work can be able to do. There are no fruits of hard work, so to say. But of course now they want to venture into other areas, maybe sports and the like. But on the overall, any student who has come in and they have a goal in life, they have a vision, and they committed to it, they have always excelled. Of course, other factors are notwithstanding.
Yeah.
There are those ones whom we have worked with and supported accordingly, and they have emerged very successful.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're saying despite other factors beyond our control, that is still stick to the course.
Yes.
There are still results that we will yield from that. Now, let's talk about a flip side of this conversation, which is the whole question of instant results. I think we are living in an age and a time where we want to see results instantly. And I don't know what your experience is, but one of the things I've realized, it is so difficult nowadays to find honest, diligent workers. So for whatever, you might need, if say you need a farm worker, for example, I don't know if you have a farm, I hear a lot of people, that is so difficult to find diligent people because what people want is the money, not the work.
Sure.
Has that been your experience as well? Just we want instant results. I want the money. Forget about the work.
Unfortunately, that is what is bedeviling our society. Yeah, people want the reward.
Yeah.
But they don't want to walk the process for them to get the reward. And as I mentioned in Hebrews 11:6, that God is a what?
Is a
reward of them that diligently seek Him, those that diligently do their work, execute their mandate.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I think human nature is that one of laziness.
So the natural state is laziness.
Yes. If somebody, if let me ask you, Pastor, if you were to wake up and everything is there for you, if you want to go to US, you just hop on the plane and go.
Yeah.
Will you work? No, will not.
Yeah.
So that is the natural. Naturally, people want just to idle around, wallow around.
Yeah.
But it is required of us that we are supposed to work. So they are there. There are many cases of people who really they want the money, but they don't want to put in what?
Yeah, to put in the work.
Effort, no, they don't want.
They don't. Yeah. In fact, I want to give an example so that you can speak into it. And I know I am about to step on various toes right now. Let's talk about the whole question of gambling, for example.
Yes.
Do you think somebody that has, and some say, I analyzed, I put in work, and somebody has done all that, and then, they've gotten, I don't know the language that is used, jackpot.
Yes.
I think that's the language. They've gotten a jackpot, a few millions, Kenya shillings. Would you consider that diligence? And is that even healthy?
Now that what takes me to my definition of diligence. That commitment to what needs to be done and being done the right way. You have heard of cases of guys who have gotten 200 million.
Yeah.
In those gambling businesses. But 1 year down the line, they have nothing to show. So was that really labor? That labor, was it worth? There are people who, yes, they have celebrated, they have gotten a lot of money but you cannot follow through. There are no blessings. There are no fruits that you can be able to attach those blessings. So my take would be that people will devote themselves to working with their hands. That's actually a command from the Lord. They're supposed to work, work and labor and feed your household.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, there are those ones who want the easier way, but it doesn't have blessings. From where I sit, the easier way out is not always the best. Yeah.
So then let's speak about the value of work then. What is the value of work? Because the example you had used, if then I have what I need, because hunger is a great motivator for work.
Sure.
But if I'm not hungry, you know, I have a nice roof over my head, you know, I do well.
Yes.
What then is the value of work beyond just giving me money, for example? Is there value to work that will cause me to still put in the effort, put in the work, be diligent, even if I may not realize material gain, so to speak?
Yeah, we are commanded by God. When God created Adam and Eve, he instructed him to work and to better the garden.
Yeah.
So you may not just work for money. You may not just work for returns. You know, not everything that you are going to commit yourself to must be, you know, valued in terms of money or cash.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be that way. There are people who have gone out of their way. They have done a lot of stuff, and there are no monetary attachments what they have done.
Yeah.
And so we work to better our society, to better our environment, to just make the world a better place.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have an educated society, of course, the evil in society will do what? Will reduce the evil in society. The level of wickedness, will also go down. You know, if a society is enlightened, you can actually flash through your mind societies that are what? They are so-called civilized societies. And you check maybe the economies are doing so well. You look at the rate of, maybe Thackeray, you look at the rate of maybe wickedness, it's not so much pronounced.
Yeah.
But in places whereby there is no much in terms of economic growth, there's a lot of evil.
Yeah.
So we commit to working to better our environment. So if you understand the place of work, then each one of us has a responsibility. Yes.
I like that. Each of us has a responsibility to better. And so then does that mean when we think about work, we are not merely thinking about the return and thank God that He has tied our work to, the return so that we even have a greater motivator. But we are more thinking about what solution am I bringing? Sure. And I want you to speak to just different ones of us, because the people who are listening and watching, it's a full spectrum. From those in the jua kali sector, those in the service industry, those who work in offices, those who are in management position, top management positions, just the full spectrum of what you will call the workplace. Those in business, just the full spectrum. How are we to think about work that way? So that, say, for example, if I am a bricklayer, if I work in Mjengo, perhaps I'm not even a fundi. Let's assume I am, what they call mtu wa mkono. When I'm thinking about diligence, how am I supposed to think about it? And that is just as an example, so that what you have mentioned in terms of us thinking solutions to the world, how am I supposed to think about it beyond the 500, 700, or 1,000 that I'll receive at the end of the day?
Thank you so much, Pastor. The major undoing, especially if I can talk about a local situation in Kenya, is the disparity between our income. That disparity is what I think is a demotivating factor. Because you are working in the same organization. You have a CEO who is earning 2 million, and you have a cleaner somewhere who is earning 6,000 shillings. I'll just give you an example. And you are all working for the good of this organization. Yes, in as much as in terms of responsibilities, maybe the CEO has much input. But look at the disparity.
The disparity is
too much. And that's why now, when you go to places like maybe Britain, the disparity is not so much. There is a way in which they try to harmonize the income. Because we are working for the same organization, we need to be supported, all of us, so that we enjoy working and serving. So why dishonesty comes in is because somebody imagines this one is getting 2 million, I'm getting 2,000 or 6,000. So if they had an opportunity of looting, they will go ahead and loot. And you know, it is unfortunate, but you know, that feeling of not being appreciated good enough will prompt some people to go to that extra. So the whole idea is for us to realize that each one of us, we will need that cleaner, we will need that CEO. And therefore, our system should be that we can be able to support each one of us to be able to live, because we are serving the same institution, we are serving the same nation, we are serving the same organization. So why can't we make sure that this cleaner here can be able to pay rent, can be able to afford a decent one, a decent life? So that is where the whole idea, the whole mix comes in. But if you can be able to address that disparity, then of course our society would be so much blessed.
So you're saying sometimes, I think, which touches on what we were talking about, other external factors. One of them is that disparity of income. Okay. That leads then to us, even when we think about the whole idea of exerting ourselves, we're like, why
am I putting in so much and yet I don't expect anything at the end of the day?
Wow, that's a sad one. That's a sad one. I want us to listen to another song, even as we just ponder on that. I think that's a bit of a sad reality that we have to deal with. Welcome back. This is Motivation Monday, where we bring you challenging conversations and inspiring stories. And today, for our challenging conversation and an inspiring story from our guest, we're talking about the fruit of diligence. In fact, we ended on a note that I felt was rather sad, that sometimes, unfortunately, because of the systems we find ourselves in, it becomes difficult for us even to give ourselves to diligence, just because of the disparity that we see in terms of appreciation, where one is appreciated a bit too much compared to the other. In fact, just indulge with us. I am wondering, what are some of those outside influences, external factors that contribute to us not giving ourselves fully, to us not being as diligent as we would be in the various workspaces or tasks that we are actually undertaking? 20316 is our SMS line, 0786 316 316 is our WhatsApp line. Let's get back to this conversation. My name is Elijah Mokaya, your host, and our guest today is Mr. Buya Wekunda, who is a teacher at the Alliance High School, the head of physics department. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now, as we gear towards some sort of a wrapping up of this conversation, discipline.
Yes.
What is the relationship between diligence and discipline?
Wow, a good one.
Yeah.
A good one. I said diligence is basically that commitment to what needs to be done and doing it the right way. So that you can be able to realize the expected returns. Now, you'll be said to be disciplined if you are not staying committed to the requirements of what needs to be done and how it's supposed to be done.
Then you'll be termed to be indisciplined.
Yeah. Because for any expected outcome, there must be a procedure, there must be a process of doing it. And therefore, there must be rules and regulations to be followed, the precautions to be followed, and all that. So if you go against that, then you will not be able to realize the expected outcome. And so you are not disciplined enough, not disciplined enough to follow through the process. So yes, for us to be able to realize the returns of our effort, we must be able to stay disciplined. Somebody define discipline as that ability to, kind of delay our gratification. Delay our gratification. So if it is a process, we know the outcome is at this point here. But if you want to take a shortcut, so just following the process, you want to take a shortcut to be able to get
so that you can be gratified
just now, then you are indisciplined. So we need discipline and diligence. Of course, they go hand in hand for us to be able to realize our rewards and returns.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. I think another thing I've heard about discipline is that in life, there are two things that we'll always do.
Yes.
We will always play and pay, but never at the same time.
Yes.
And so you can choose to pay now and play later, or play now
And pay later.
and pay later. Is that the reality that you have seen in life?
Yes. It has played out.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you play now, definitely you'll be required to pay.
Yeah.
If you are able to pay now, painfully pay now, of course you'll be able to relax later in life. So it happens.
Yeah.
It happens, yes. You cannot have both. Yeah. So if it's a question of spending your time now, you will have time to really have some relative, can I say, opportunities, relative opportunities to be able to enjoy. Yeah.
Okay. And I think then for you, for the students, it's a real case.
Yes.
That those who failed to pay while they were students in terms of putting in the work to study and to revise and to do all those things, then they paid later.
They paid later.
But those who actually, paid, later on, you have a bit more flexibility.
Yes,
to play. Now, even as we just continue with that whole idea of discipline, you had mentioned that naturally we are lazy.
True.
Are we also naturally indisciplined?
I don't know whether I can combine indiscipline and our lawlessness. Maybe that started at the Garden of Eden. That when we fail, then naturally we are born in sin, and the Bible is very clear that even the lazy ones are regarded as what? As sinners. If you are lazy, you are sinners. So that seed that was planted in us at the Garden of Eden, it seems to be propagated in our lives in generations to come. So I can say yes, to some extent. Yeah, naturally just born what? Lazy, so to say, unless there are some motivating factors for us to change our status.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now somebody is listening to this conversation,
yes.
Watching us, and they are not a student.
Yes.
They are perhaps way into their mid, ages.
Yes.
And they're looking back and they're like, yeah, I wasted it. I wasted it. Is there hope for them? Can they still pick up from where they are? Can anybody tuned in pick up from where they are and begin pursuing a life of diligence and discipline? And if so, what are the steps that one needs to begin in order to realize a life of diligence and discipline?
Wow, it's a good question. There is no time that you can say that now I cannot do anything. Any time, any age that you are in is the best age. There are people, you think of people like the guy who started the KFC.
Aha, yes.
Yes. He started at what age?
He was actually an old man.
An old man.
Was it 70 or 80 years?
I think they are about those years. Trump is the president of the US. At what age? So any age is the right age for you to do something. And yes, there is always hope for us to change our circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also reading about a guy who was he resigned his job at age 53 to start, I think, selling these cookies. These sweets and all that, these candies and the like.
Yeah.
He had struggled in that kind of employment for some time. He was not breaking.
Yeah.
So at age 53, he said, let me try something else. And, he hit it. So what I'm saying is that let's look at, if I can come to your question of the practical steps in which you can be able to start to turn around our situations. Please start where you are. Start where you are. The somebody was saying that you can only break a breakthrough if you are providing a service or there's a product.
Okay.
Yes. Those two are what will differentiate you from the others. Are you having a product that you are bringing on the market?
Yeah.
Or are you serving the people.
Yeah.
So look for the need in society and try to what? To address that need. Look for a product that is required and try to see if we can be able to provide that product through the market. So it is never too late. It's never too late at whatever age that you are in. Seek to understand, you know, and many times you look at what are you good at. You know, what are you good at? I've stayed in teaching for this long because I just enjoy teaching.
Yeah.
When I see my students come out and they're successful, they come, Marimu, thank you for doing this. I just feel contented and satisfied, you know. So what are you good at? And you evaluate yourself and look at your potential. What are you good at?
Yeah.
And start from there. And start small. Don't just imagine that, oh, I want to be like Elon Musk. You know, look at where they started. You know? It has been a journey.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the society we are living in is that people want instant results and returns, which is not the case.
Yeah.
So just start where you are. Look around. What is the need in society? You know, what's the product that maybe is lacking in society, and can you be able to go out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. But what about the whole question of time? In terms of how we invest our time, I think there's somebody who said the one thing that both the rich and the poor have in common is 24 hours.
24 hours, yes.
So as we think about diligence, how are we supposed to think about our time in relation to that?
God gave us 24 hours. And in these 24 hours, you can split it. Many people split it into 8 hours, 8 hours. If you talk about 8 hours of work, 8 hours of rest, and 8 hours of yourself, you can be able to do something with that, you know, just recreation and all that. So with regard, I like it. There are many people out here who have a job from 8 to 5.
Yeah.
And then after 5, you know, they are doing something else on the sidelines. You know, something that's very constructive.
Yeah.
You see somebody's in the office up to 5. After 5, they have maybe a car. They convert the car into a taxi. You know, there's somebody in the office with the you know, maybe working in the office. Thereafter, you see them selling, you know, clothes out there. So we have the resource that we desperately need is the time.
Yeah.
So what are you doing with the time that you have? I think it is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then time is not something that we can, you know, waste away.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We should not waste time because, you know, why Americans are way ahead of us is because, you know, I came in 1 minute late. And that would have annoyed an American.
Yeah.
But you welcomed me with a smile, and I was like, an American say we are supposed to start at 7:30. You have come in at 7:31.
Yeah.
So you see, so time is a resource that we cannot afford to waste.
Yeah.
Just find something to do with that time rather than wasting. If it's time for resting, rest. But if it's the time for work, please make sure that you put in every second working.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and so, you know, everything done within its time.
It's time,
so to speak.
Sure.
Now, we are getting towards a conclusion of this conversation. I don't know, as you just think through this whole idea of diligence and the fruit of diligence, which is what we're talking about, what are some of the things that you would as well want to speak to the different people that are tuned in? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly at what level you are in, especially our listeners. But what I want to say is diligence pays, hard work pays. And so you may be doing something, sorry, you may be doing something with your life now. Stay committed. Just put in your best, keep working, and from where I sit, keep trusting God. And if we believe in God, if we trust God, of course, there are promotions that come by just being diligent, by just working hard. In that office, there's somebody who will notice your hard work and your diligence, and they will promote you. I know it is a contentious issue. People sometimes they work so hard, and when it comes to promotions, they get somebody who is even not doing much and promoting them. But if you are working hard, God in heaven is seeing.
Yeah.
So let's expect promotions that come from above and the satisfaction that comes from above rather than what comes from men. Because sometimes you can do so much and yet men don't appreciate that. So let's stay committed to working and of course, look around also with opportunities. Look for opportunities. Have an open mind. If you feel that you have done this work and you feel you have done it to the best of your ability and your conscience is clean, and God opens another door, please move to something else that you like. Yeah, just like I was giving the case of the KFC, the guy who started KFC. He worked for all those years, but then changed to something else. So look for opportunities, because what matters now is the question of satisfaction. Are you satisfied in whatever you are doing? If you are not satisfied with whatever you are doing, however much effort you put in, you may not, be happy about it. So my suggestion will be that if what you are doing, you love what you are doing, please do it to the best of your ability and your knowledge, and expect rewards from God. God is faithful to be able to reward you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And maybe to speak as a last word to somebody who unfortunately right now is suffering from the effects of not being diligent, and maybe they're on the verge of hopelessness. Just speak to that person, and then we can bring this to a conclusion.
Well, it happens that sometimes we suffer the consequences of lacking diligence, so to say. And there is a scripture, I think, in Proverbs. It's Solomon who says this, that you sluggard, can you observe the ant? How they toil, they labor, storing up food for them during summer. And, so we are called upon to actually work. That's what I can say. We are called upon to work. So if you are not working, or you are not working accordingly, or you're not working accordingly, my urge, my plea will be that we may wake up and realize that we need to work with our hand. Even Paul in the Bible, he says that let us work with our hands so they can be able to feed our take care of our families. So let each one of us find something to be able to do. Even Jesus Christ was a carpenter. He used to, So don't select what to do,
but do something.
Do something, and God will come and pick you up from what you are doing and maybe promote you to something that is better. And if you are doing something, of course, you will see better opportunities. But if you are not doing anything, it's unfortunate you may not be blinded. You may not be able to opportunities that come your way. So for you who is down there, you are regretting that maybe you have not worked hard enough to be able to maybe turn around your life. I just want to encourage you that it is not too late. You can arise and put your best foot forward and turn your life around to the glory of God the Father.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Buya Wekunda. What a privilege this has been. Thank you for the work that you put in shaping the next generation of our nation and the many that you've impacted. And thank you for the conversation we've had. It is our prayer and hope that, those of us that have listened, that will actually put in the work, put in the effort, be committed to that which needs to be done. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
God bless you.
All right, thank you. This is the end of our conversation, the fruit of diligence. Yes, so I urge you, whatever it is that your hand has found to do it diligently. There is fruit at the end of it. No. Don't compare yourself with somebody else. Their path is different. You do not know how they arrived, where they arrived, but you just stick to your course, stick to your lane, put in the work, and who knows the fruit that you'll realize after that. Well, this is goodbye from us, but before I go, let me remind you again that we are able to continue bringing you conversations like this by virtue of partnership with men and women like yourself. This 25 years, Family Media has been on air because Kenyans have come alongside us in partnering by way of prayer and through financial giving. So this is an invitation that you consider being one of our partners by sending an SMS with the word partner to 20316. And if you'd like to give, even now you're free to give a gift. Feel free to do that through paybill number 316316, and for account kindly write your phone number. Well, please go ahead and be diligent in whatever it is that you do. And may God reward you. See you next week.